Hello there, and you're very welcome along to episode 42 of the Football Pod. I've got Paddy Andrews with me, and I've got James O'Donoghue with me. James, your season isn't over, but Legion have been knocked out of the Intermediate Championship, and at the weekend, Rathmore were crowned champions. We didn't get talking last week. For anyone listening, it wasn't that you decided against speaking about it. We actually recorded Mark O'Connor the Friday beforehand, so tough week.
Tough week, depressing week. November is depressing enough. Never mind after losing a championship match. It was a tough week now because that was the holy grail of the year. You know, the intermediate championship for us, trying to get back up to senior, and we were a couple of points up with a couple of minutes to play, and the Grail took home with Derry, Marquee, all the boys. They don't McGarrett. They pipped us. They came back, drew, and then we were beaten extra time. So very disappointing. Oh God, it's a sickener. But we're actually not finished. As we've said on the pod before, we have East Kerry Championship now. So
my God. Knock on the head, lads.
This is a great
Christmas
tournament.
next week.
Yeah, but no, it's great to get back on the horse. To sit on a loss like that for a couple of months is sickening.
Yeah.
So the game this weekend.
Just keep playing until you win, like that's what you do in Kerry.
That's it, like until it turns.
Does everyone get a medal at the end of the year in Kerry? Like everybody wins something, like.
Yeah, there's medals for everyone at the end.
Yeah.
But no, it's still a big tournament, so it's great to be still involved.
Yeah. Could you bring yourself to watch the intermediate final between Rathmore and Gaeltacht? Rathmore obviously won Aidan O'Mahony's club.
No, I didn't. It was on in Tralee, so I didn't bother. There was a junior championship match, Fuss and Lestry. It was on in Clarny, so I went to that instead on the Saturday. So I skipped that. Too hard to watch.
Nah, you don't need to lose a semi. You're not going into the final. No,
I actually couldn't even talk about it. If someone says, "How did that game go?" or whatever, it actually pissed me off. Like I didn't even want to talk about it for 2 seconds.
Yeah, there's been plenty said about Clifford's exploits the weekend. The two of them scored 212. David and Paddy.
Yeah, do you know what?
Lestry were sensational, were they? They were unlucky.
One of the best games I was ever at. Junior championship final. It was unbelievable. No defending. No interest in defending.
Yeah, total football. Like.
But Lestry were brilliant. Got loads of great scores, and then Fossa kind of relied on the Cliffords a bit. All right, but it was fascinating watch. Serious crowd. The stand in Killarney was full. Wow. There was neutrals there from everywhere. I think Fossa are going on now to play a crowd from West Limerick, and that'll be jammers as well.
Yeah, that'll be unbelievable.
It's just never ending, isn't it? Like it's just you're on the treadmill. You're playing every week, no matter what. Like
I think that's the Clifford's 30th game of the year. I think, which is a lot. Like
so they're in the Munster Junior now, which is going into.
They're in this O'Donoghue Cup as well.
The what?
They're in this O'Donoghue Cup with us as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They'll be tipping
James O'Donoghue Cup. That's the most made up competition I've ever fucking heard. Like.
No, it's my grandfather.
Take December off.
Is it?
To feed up a few pina coladas there down in the Shire, you'd be all right.
Yes, that's exactly into the Shire. Right. It was a very busy weekend in the football landscape, especially with the provincials as well. In Connacht, Moy Cullen were very, very impressive. They dispatched of Westport by 318 to 111. Desi Keneally putting his hand up as a potential option for Porrick Joyce next year with a very, very impressive performance. He kicked 10. Over in London, St. Mary's of Leitrim left it late, but they bet St. Kiernan's by 3-8 to 1-8. They scored 2-1 in injury time to win that game and get through. So they'll play Turles Strand and Sligo in the Connacht semi-final, and Moy Cullen are taking on Strokes Town of Roscommon. In Ulster, we had a cracking weekend of action. Aaron's own Carrigan from Antrim bet Naomh Connell of Donegal 4-1 on penalties. Enniskillen Gales, this was a cracking game. They bet Gowna on penalties 5-3. It was 214 to 117 at the end of extra time. Kilcoo hammered Ballybay 214 to 1-7. Jerome Johnson Sr. had obviously stepped away, and Mark Doran was in charge of the Ballybay side. That went down to Kilcoo. You had Conor Laverty, the current down manager, up against Paul Finlay from Ballybay, and Kilcoo, the All-Ireland champions, come out on top. And then one of the games of the weekend, it was on TV as well. Glen 310, bet Ergel Kieran of Tyrone 112. And, you know, Joe Guz from Ergel Kieran was very impressive up against Conor Glass, who had a monstrous game. And the two Canavans had a couple of smashing moments too. We might actually speak to our special guest about that in a couple of minutes, lads, because Shane McGuigan at Derry is going to be joining us in about 5 minutes time. So looking forward to that.
Sharpshooter. Great to have him on board.
Absolutely. And he'd know those Glen boys very well. Shlockneil and Glen have had quite a rivalry over the last couple of years. In Munster, Era Og of Clare bet the Nair on Waterford 311 to 1-5. They'll go on to face Cairns O'Rahilly of Kerry.
Cairns O'Rahilly's.
Did I lose an S?
Is this
You're
deja
just
vu?
breaking up there, I think.
Okay. And then the other game of the weekend, Clonmel commercials were very impressive. See, I can get every other
Nemo.
county.
Nemo went to
County right.
shite. Jesus.
Nemo Rangers 111. Nemo put up, and
They peaked against the Bars.
Clonmel had a good win.
Big
there,
win to beat the Bars for them, wasn't it? Like, still though, you know, traditionally you'd be looking at Nemo going deep there, like. But you were saying, Jimmy, there wasn't that much of a surprise.
Well, down here, people were saying that the Bars were strong favourites for that Cork final.
I heard that, yeah.
And I'd say Nemo put some serious effort into that, even mentally, like to come out on top in that game. So
hard to back it up again, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe to go again was a step too far.
Yeah.
But that Munster Championship is wide open, no?
Wide open,
Hey.
yeah.
Clonmel commercials, they bet Nemo with a late goal in the Munster final a couple of years ago. They're an impressive side. They've got the Kennedys, Kevin Fahey.
They look very good at the weekend. They were comprehensive winners.
Yeah. Michael Quinlivan in midfield didn't even score, who typically be playing full forward for Tips. So
they had so much legs. They had so much pace and legs.
Big side.
Yeah, they just ran through them, didn't they?
Yeah,
Ran it,
classy. Jason Monaghan as well, obviously, it was very impressive. So they'd play Newcastle West of Limerick in the Munster semi-final. And then this weekend, we have the Leinster semi-finals. It's a doubleheader in Croke Park.
Croke, aren't they?
Yeah. Chemical Crokes are up against Port Arlington, and Ratoath of Meath take on the Downs of Westmeath. An interesting quirk in that one. The Downs manager, Lara Wall, was over Gael Columkills in Meath 3 years ago, and they were going to win their first Meath senior title. They were winning by 2 points in injury time, and Ratoath bet them with a last-minute goal. So I'd say Lara Wall will be looking to get one over Ratoath once more. So that's the action at the weekend. As I mentioned, this weekend we have the Leinster semi-finals and we have the Connacht semi-finals. There's probably 98 different games happening in Kerry too, so we'll keep an eye on that for you over the weekend. And we've back.
O'Donoghue Shield is on, I think.
Yes, exactly. You keep going until you win.
Is that a blitz? Does it?
It's like
an adult failure.
It's like your what you call your Harlem Globetrotters tournament again that time when you were you were One Direction, or who was the north side team again?
Dublin Colts.
The Colts. Yeah,
that was their Mercedes-Benz Dublin Trials. It sponsors him for that. Like.
That's a nice segue, lads, into the news. Well, not news, but heavily rumored this week that and Paddy, I know I'm not allowed to report on WhatsApp rumors, but this is in the
WhatsApp
papers.
Rumors again. We got
no, it was in the papers.
Corner.
It was
Wolves WhatsApps
published by the Mirror, and then by
how
the
many
Indo.
WhatsApp groups are you in?
And many WhatsApp groups published by the Mirror and then the Indo.
I can hear the phone vibrating here through the screen.
What's
the latest one?
Have you heard the news that apparently Pat Gilroy is joining the Dublin management backroom team? Pat Gilroy, yeah. I don't know if you've heard it or what you think of it or whether you think it'd be a good move.
Seen it. It was reported last week. Pat's been obviously very unbelievably successful with the football team, with the hurlers. Then after that, it was heavily involved in the backroom at St. Vincent's as well, and obviously his professional work outside of GAA is incredibly successful and incredibly busy with that side of things. So he hasn't been probably at the forefront of coaching the managing team in the last couple of years. But I don't know if this is true or not. There have been murmurs of it. I think Pat Gilroy is an incredible addition to any group, whether it's as the main man or in this case where you're coming in maybe as a coach or a selector. I think it would be only good news for Desi, for the management team, and also for the players. He's anyone who's ever worked with him. He improves a group no matter what. The kind of the attitude, the focus, the mentality there. He's walked the walk. He was, like I say, right at the very start of this golden era for Dublin. He was the man who kind of lit the spark for the whole thing. So if it is true, and we don't know if it's true or not, I'm not massive on WhatsApp rumors, but I think it'd be great. He's a brilliant guy. And it would only be positives, I feel, for Desi and for those players as well, particularly younger players coming in, which is what obviously Dublin are trying to get. There's obviously an experienced cohort there as well, but I'm sure Desi's going to be looking through Division 2 to try and unearth a few more guys, but having someone like Pat in there as well. Both him and Desi, I think it'd be great news. I hope it is true. I think it'd be brilliant. But look, we'll have to wait and see. Pat's not going to be coming out doing any interviews about it or anything like that. That wouldn't really be his style. But hopefully it is. From a Dublin perspective, I think it'd be great.
And I wonder, is it kind of like a case of Gerard Houllier and Roy Evans that time with Liverpool. Do you remember they would almost went joint managers? Like,
I thought because
it can be dangerous
with Mayo, with Rochford going in under McStay. Obviously, it's an interesting dynamic how that's managed, because obviously Rochford was the main man and so close to winning the All Ireland with Mayo, and now he's kind of gone in under McStay, and then you've got Pat, who obviously is an All Ireland winner, and potentially he's coming in like there's no Desi will still be the main man. It's not a joint thing at all.
And is this Desi's appointment?
Oh yeah. There wouldn't be any kind of county board stuff like Saudi Arabia, Newcastle, like that type of thing. Like you're taking this fella, and that's the end of it. No, that would not be Dublin style or John Costello style or Pat or Desi. That definitely wouldn't be the case. So I'm sure that, look, if it is true, they would have had a lot of conversations about this, and Desi feels Desi's the main man. There's no two ways about that. Feels that if it is the case, Pat, here's what I'd like you to do, and for Giller to go in, he obviously fancies that as well. I think it'd be brilliant, but it's not I wouldn't say that's a joint thing. It's an interesting dynamic, though.
Coach Gilroy,
because Pat is an unbelievably successful leader in his own right,
But is he an out-and-out coach, or is he kind of?
No, I wouldn't. I don't know if Pat would be doing much on the pitch coaching. Like, I think it'd be more around just the whole group, wider kind of tactical stuff and stuff. But Pat, would he be? He's not going to be doing backs and forwards with the players. I wouldn't have thought that. No, and that's where it differs, because I know Rochford is a very hands-on coach, and by all accounts, a very on the pitch hands-on guy. So maybe that obviously suits what McStay is trying to do. But it's an interesting dynamic with Pat going in, because he's not that. He's not a Paddy Tally type guy where he's going to be on the pitch doing drills every night of the season. But like I say, if it's true, and there's a caveat there because nothing's been confirmed yet. Yeah. I just think his personality and the way he thinks about things in the group would only be an addition. He's a very impressive guy, and a very impressive part to have in Dublin's group.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, and if it does get confirmed, we'll come back to it, and we might look at it a bit in depth, maybe at the end of our winter season or early next year when we're back in before the National League. So, lads, I think we might get our special guest on, Shane McGuigan. He had a smashing season. He was one of the top scorers overall in league and championship. He was second top scorer in the championship, nominated for an All-Star for the second year in a row. He didn't win one, but had a cracking year, won an Ulster title, fell just short of winning a Division 2 title. So let's get the man himself on. Shane McGuigan. Yeah. We're back right after this on the Football Pod. All right, you are very welcome back to episode 42 of the Football Pod with Paddy Andrews, James O'Donoghue, and our special guest this week, Shane McGuigan of Derry and Slaughtneil. Shane, you're very welcome to the pod. How are things?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Now,
I wasn't sure whether you'd be able to join us this afternoon after that outrageous interview that Cristiano Ronaldo did yesterday. Paddy Andrews is a massive Ronaldo fan. He went over to Old Trafford just to see Ronaldo a couple of weeks ago. Much like one of your heroes, Speed.
Get plenty of stick now about that comment now, to be honest with you boys.
But to be honest, this happened right at the start, okay? Are you one of the reasons this man has become famous?
You got any royalty, Shane?
He came up on my TikTok once, and look, a few of the boys were talking about it, and we found it hilarious. But to be honest, I was coaching one of the school teams. I'm a primary school teacher, and it was one of them. They were mad about the Derry. They're mad into the hype of it,
Yeah.
And I was just before the match, they were saying that they all said it during school all the time, but they're like, and then I said it back to them one time, that I'm famous Sue, and they thought it was hilarious that I even knew this. And then they said, "Oh, please, if you do an interview or if you get on TV, please say it for me." So at the very end, I seen a few of them in the crowd, and then I had to say it for them. I thought the cameras were all off at the time. I seen a few in the crowd, and sure, geez, I've never heard the end of it now.
That's funny. That's very good. I'd be right in saying you'd be a fan of a celebration after a goal, would you?
I've been known to do a few now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Would you do a shoe?
Blowing kisses, Joe Brody-esque. There must be something in the water up there in Derry. Jesus Christ. Like. Rory Gallagher lets you away with celebrating.
Well,
The odd time. If it was
that's
win.
You'd have to push him out the way to get your celebration in.
I think I was right as soon as the goal goes in.
He's gone down the sideline with the top off his head. Like.
The camera just pans to him straight away, so we could do whatever we want. But
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair, yeah.
You could definitely see with Derry this year and the fans, there was an energy. Like you had a group at most of the games making unbelievable noise. And I think maybe that comes when I'm not sure if that was always there when you were winning Division 4 titles in Croke Park. Did it just come in the last couple of months? Is there a bit of momentum behind football in Derry at the minute?
I think so. I think well, even we had a gala there at the weekend just to celebrate the Ulster Championship, and they kind of touched on that too. They said about how we were averaging just over a couple of hundred supporters at Division 3 and 4 games. Like, so I think the Donegal game, even though we got beat by them, I think people started to take notice to us then, and people in the county, and then we got the promotion out of Division 3 the following year, and then there was just there was just a real sense of, could this team do something, you know? We had a disappointing enough league campaign last year, but even at the likes of the McKenna Cup, or first McKenna Cup game against Monaghan, look, it wasn't a sellout, but you'd be lucky to get 20 people at it. And there was a good crowd that day, and they were expecting a good performance, and things just kind of snowballed from then.
And
I don't know, do you know, but I actually tipped you at the start of the year to win Ulster, get promoted. I know you didn't get promoted, and have a rattle off the All-Ireland. I was first to call it all year. Paddy, you disagreed at the time. Huh?
I don't remember that.
Yes, I also backed Tyrone to have a disappointing year.
I do remember
No,
that.
you called for Tyrone to be relegated, and Paddy Hampsey had it up in the dressing room wall.
Yeah, because they definitely cared. I backed Derry as well to have a great year. So you were,
I think we've all kind of, felt like it was coming.
I think that game against Donegal, look, we did get beat that day, but I think everybody kind of said we should have won that day, and we left one behind us in Ballybuffet. And I think that people did start taking notice after that there, and there was a lot of nearly expectation going on the following year. The league still is hard to get over. Last year,
can I hold you on that one, because you said you didn't have a great league, but like you'd won, you bet down by 7, you beat Cork by 9, Offaly by 12, Clare by 9, and it all kind of comes to a halt then in the last minute in the Hyde. Do you want to run it like that's still sticking in the craw, is it?
Yeah. I was annoyed looking at it.
It's a tough one to let go now, to be honest with you, boys. Look,
a free goes against you and you get sent off, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the free could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
And the first yellow wasn't a yellow either.
Yeah, the first yellow I didn't even take much notice to the first yellow. And then I watched it back, and then I thought it was extremely harsh too for a yellow card. It was my first national game. And then it came down to the last minute. It was a draw game, and we were in the break. And I think it was Brian Stack. Nothing against him. He just took me down, and he obviously didn't want me to get up the other end of the pitch to get on the end of the scoring chance, which is fair enough. I would have been expecting our defenders to do the same if the shoe was in the other foot. But I would like to have seen or thought somebody would have maybe caught it. One of the officials didn't pan out that way. We ended up getting a free on that attack, but unfortunately, I was given a line.
I would say it was in your range, like it was on the 45, a left footer's.
Yeah, it was on the 45, and it was a left footer's breeze, as they talk about. I would have backed myself to tap it over, to be honest. Now, drew that game, and then the following week, it was the Galway game was ultimate decider, and missed that game too then, so I was adding insult to the wounds then. But
you know, it's just saying, if we were looking in, I know that was a frustrating end to the league for you guys, because, like I said, the previous year, probably, from around the Donegal game with Ballybuffet, which it was a brilliant game. It was one of the best games of that championship. It was pretty dour at the time, but you were so close to winning that, and the way that season was structured, that you didn't get a second chance at it. You could see the frustration for Derry, but you could see you guys were coming along, and you kind of start the league like a house on fire last year. And that the Roscommon game is a bit of a freak moment, how that finishes, and the Rossies and Galway end up going up, but we all could kind of see, and I think it's not just us, I think you could see across the board that Derry were going to be a force in this championship. Whether it was going to be enough to win an Ulster championship with Tyrone obviously the All-Ireland champions in it as well, you just got a sense that what Rory was doing and what you guys were doing, there was a momentum behind the team. You could see it, like you're talking about the crowd, you're talking about the atmosphere around Derry football. You could see something was coming. And we speak about it so often on this podcast about when teams get momentum, you're always chasing it. And when you have it, special things can happen. And you just got the sense with Derry that, you didn't get promoted, but you were going to have a cut off this championship. And you kind of announce yourselves across the board with what you do in Healy Park to the All-Ireland champions that day. And you kind of think, right, Derry are serious here now. And you go on and have a brilliant win. The Ulster Championship's incredible, blow Clare away, and end up getting to the All-Ireland semi-final against Galway. And in terms of, the game doesn't go for you obviously as you'd like, but in terms of a breakout year for Derry, you're thinking that's a pretty positive season. You know, it's very hard to say it's not. What does next season look like for you guys? Because now that there's added pressure now, that you're not under the radar anymore, you're the Ulster champions. You're in a competitive Division 2, obviously, with Dubs and Kildare coming down as well. Have you guys spoke as a group about, you had your medal night there the other night, have you spoke as a group about what are the targets? Have you yourself could have set your own targets for 2023 and a big year for Derry again?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is we would be looking at promotion, to be honest with you. I think promotion Division 1's the main thing we have to be looking at first. We want to be down at the top table, and you need at least to be in Division 1 if you want to be serious about things, and we don't want to become a yo-yo club up and down in Division 1, Division 2. You would want to be definitely getting into Division 1 and then staying there for as long as you can. I think the momentum you could get from getting promotion out of Division 2 and then into the championship will be massive. Like you said, Dublin and Kildare will be, and a few others. Everybody will be back at it. Cork, the new management team, the rest of the teams in Division 2 will be no slouches. But I think obviously the two that you mentioned there, Dublin and Kildare, I think we've got Dublin at home and Kildare away. So we would like to get a rattle at them, to be honest with you. And I think if you can get promotion out of Division 2, then the season's, like you talked about, momentum, it's hard to come back. You would be in a good place momentum wise if you get out of Division 2.
Yeah, you can see it is obviously Rocky's got in with Mead as well. They're looking to do something kind of come out of the pack. If you're looking at the favourites for it, it'd be yourselves, like say the Dubs and Kildare. Colin Collins with Clare, they've been knocking on the door as well. And Cork new management. It's a really, really competitive Division 2, which is great. And we always say it. The league is the best competition. It's the games every week. It's ticking fast. All right, the conditions are usually shit, but that is a fascinating thing that to look in and see. You know, we asked at the start of this season on the pod who are going to be the breakout teams. You know, it was Dublin, Mayo, it was Kerry for a decade. And those teams are kind of starting to creak, and they're going, well, who's coming through? Who are the next teams? And it was the likes of Derry, it was the likes of Galway, what Joyce did. And I think next season is even more competitive.
Yeah.
You know, who can Derry keep that show on the road? Because there's a pressure there now as well for you guys. But like I said, there's 2 or 3 other teams who are going to try and nearly take inspiration from what you guys did in 2022. And it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah. definitely. Like you said, I've got them mate too, to be honest with you, and they could have beat us in the final game last year. Look, they're a quality outfit, and like I said, the 5 or 6 others. It's going to be interesting. I'm actually looking forward to it. They are the games that you want to be playing in, but again, you still want to be playing the likes of Kerry, Mayo. So we will be looking to get promoted. We make no bones about it.
How different is it looking forward to a campaign like that off the back of a year that you just had, as opposed to maybe what it was like when you first broke through? Because like I remember maybe at the start of the decade, Derry were seen as a team that were a strong league team and they might fall away maybe in championship, and they were runners up to the Dubs in 2014. And then there was a couple of lost years where the county just slid. And I'd say that's kind of coincided with when you came onto the panel. Did you make your debut in 17 or was it 18?
17, yeah, 17.
And then are you Division 4 at that stage?
Division 3, Division 3 at that stage. And a few, they would say the Slaughtneil boys, it was just the way things were panning out. We had a real good, we were going well in the club scene at that time, like, and we weren't stepping on. There was the league had already started by the time we were getting back into the way of the county things, which didn't help things. You had 5 or 6 of the starting team: Chrissy, Brendan, Carl, Patrick Cassidy, Paul McNeil was there and thereabouts. So I wasn't right fair in Derry too, because they didn't have their full cut at the squad. But like you said, it was hard to step back into that there, especially when we were going so well with the club. And then you were going back to Division 3 and Division 4, and look, it's not where you want to play. Well, it's not where I wanted to play.
It's all right, Shane. Nobody wants to be down there.
It's just the way it is. But thankfully now we've got better organisation in place. I think Rory has been a massive part of it. There's no two ways about it. The standards that he sets for us now and expects us to be at when we're expected to come back into the panel, it's pretty high.
What was the difference that he brought? Say from the start, I always say when there's an appointment of a new manager, like you get one chance to seriously make a first impression with the group, or like set the standards from a straight away from a point of view of the players. Like you're looking at this fella going, can you change our fortunes? And like he obviously did straight away. But what did he do when he came in to set those standards? What was the main change?
To be honest with you, well, the thing that struck me, and they said it there in the past, Rory talked about in his first meetings, he talked about Derry winning Ulsters and hopefully winning All Irelands. And this was when we were in Division 3, and everybody's just looking at him. Have you not seen Derry football this past 3 or 4 years? And he obviously seen something in us. He makes a good joke about it. Kieran Mina, Rory's assistant, he says he had sold him down the garden path with what he had told him Derry was like, because Kieran was in it with us the previous year before Rory had stepped in, and he had painted all these boys are brilliant, the whole setup's good and all this here, and Rory says himself too, he didn't know what he was stepping into, but from the word go, that's what he talked about. He said he wasn't here to play in Division 3 and 4. He was here to get Derry back winning Ulster Championships and the Division 1 and see where you go from then. And that's well, part of it's true now. So you're just hoping that you can build on it now.
He told us himself on the football pod last October, you could tell that Derry was in his eyes and in his sights, and he obviously had Tyrone, the All-Ireland champions, in that first game, and you could tell. I don't know what it was, the draw was made by then, but he was looking at us.
He was a man possessed on the sideline that day. You all were, but the camera kept going to him, didn't it?
Yeah,
that was classic.
Looked to be, and it was just after the league had finished, and we had 3 or 4 weeks to the Tyrone, but for them 3 or 4 weeks, that's all it was. It was just Tyrone.
And how much did it help? like the manner in which you lost Donegal, when we all felt like you could have had them that day and you probably should have had them. And then the manner in which your league campaign kind of came to a halt, like in those 4 weeks before the Tyrone game, did you use that kind of hurt and that? Were you able to turn that into a positive? Because you were like men possessed when Tyrone came
to be honest with you, it was probably the best thing. Well, not the best thing that happened to us, but after Meath, Rory gave us 3 or 4 days just to step away from things, but of downtime, and then we went into a pretty intense training period, to be honest with you. And after that, there we just knew nobody was going to beat us in that first game. Nobody had trained harder than us. I believe so anyway. Nobody had done as much work on a specific team. It was just them 4 weeks of complete Tyrone, and we were just obsessed about beating them. And thankfully it paid off. I don't know if I could have done another Donegal day. To be honest with you, it was pretty low after that, so we needed to make sure we were going to win this one.
Yeah,
we were saying, Shane, and it was brilliant performance in the games. Obviously, go on to the Monaghan game, and then the extra time against Donegal and the Ulster final, where you look back and just go, that was a team that just was not going to lose that game. And you know, we spoke about Donegal separately and kind of issues they might have been having, but we had a fear, and I'm not sure how you guys responded to it, that it was such a massive win for Derry to win the Ulster Championship, first time since '98. The way he's done it as well, like it was a Ulster Championship, a hard championship to win. But the way you guys did it, we were kind of getting a sense was that success for Derry now, and what was the approach going to be to the All Ireland series, or was it going to be we're kind of happy enough now, and whatever happens? What was the reaction of, because it was such an emotional victory to win the Ulster Championship? How quickly did you get back on the ground? Because you have a brilliant quarterfinal performance. You get a good draw against Clare.
Yeah.
Calling a spade, like. But what was the aftermath, and when did you sit down as a group again? Because we've seen some great photos. You were sitting down a couple of days after the game. You probably weren't talking much about the All Ireland series at that point. But when did you refocus? And what was the goal at that point? Was it, let's try and win the All Ireland now, or
to be honest,
bonus territory?
Well, to be honest with you too, you were looking at the other side of the draw, and it was Kerry and Dublin were on the other side of the draw. And at that time, Galway were a Division 2 team like us. We thought, obviously, we didn't do ourselves justice the day in Owen Big that they wiped the floor with us. But back then, you would have thought you've got the easier side of the draw. So it was. I definitely thought we have a chance of an All Ireland final here, and you have a chance of an All Ireland final. God knows what happens on that day. Yeah. Again, we went into after the Ulster final. We trained hard again before the Clare game, and then tapered things down. And then I think after the Clare game, I think everybody kind of saw again. We were taking it serious. We weren't just going to be happy with our Ulster. And then went into Galway, and obviously we know what happened that day. Galway were the better team and beat us rightfully so that day. But we had total belief that we were going to get to the final that day and get a good chance at an All Ireland.
Can you remember much of that Galway game? Because I don't think anyone could have called that game beforehand. It was so 50-50. Like, no one could have said how this game is going to go. But like, can you remember being in the game and feel it getting away from you? Like, you had a good start, and then second half they got the goal. I know a corner, but like, you were in the game. You could have easily won that game.
3-0 up after the first quarter.
3-0 up, and I missed a couple chances in the first half. I missed a free and one from play. And Brenton and Connor, I think maybe missed another couple too. I think we should, looking back on it, we should have been 5-0 up before Galway. Yeah. Galway got on the board.
Before they even had an attack,
before they even had attack, and I think that kind of let us down come the end of it. But then, like you said, after 25 minutes, they're the games that kind of annoy me most, the ones that just seem to pass you by. like I would rather.
Happens to everyone, Shane.
I would rather be at least getting my hands on the ball and kicking the ball away, but them ones that the games that
You
just
don't get
pass me by, they're annoying, and that second half just seemed to just pass me by. Galway just seemed to be in total control of it. Every time we attacked, they just broke us down easily, and they were just they were winning a lot of easy frees on us, and Shane Walsh was just unerring that day and off right and left on the frees, and they were just ticking over at the scoreboard, kept the scoreboard ticking, and then you looked at the stage and they were five up, and you were like, how is this happening? Like,
yeah,
there was
like
a sense, Shane, if we're looking in, I think we all said it, Derry and what Rory brings, unbelievable organisation. Your fitness, every player, absolutely, you could see it from the stand, knew exactly what was required, their job, their preparation was off the charts. But there was always a bit of an inkling, and you being kind of Derry's marquee forward, and you're a sharpshooter. We only bring sharpshooters on this show, Shane. We don't bring any fucking defenders on. but there was a sense kind of that for Derry to go from Ulster champions to ultimately, and I know this is where you want to get to be All-Ireland champions, that there needs to be maybe a bit more risk in your attack and play, or the next stage of Derry's development, because it's a journey to get to the top. And the most famous example is maybe Donegal under McGuinness, where they're quite defensive at 11, and then they kind of expand a little bit while keeping all the good stuff that they had, and they win the All-Ireland at 12. What is, for you being the marquee forward in there, is that, how does that impact you? If a team is being perceived to be really, really defensive, and you have to defend as a forward, you can't fucking get away from it, unfortunately. But how do you think about that in the game, or is there kind of conversations around what you might try and expand on next season? Or
I think teams were catching on to this, and then the goal we did, they had their number that day. Come the second half, the way they set up, I think we did probably come a bit too predictable with the running game, to be honest with you. And I think it is something that we can work on going into next year. That bringing more of a kicking game and a more direct ball.
It's good news for you though as well, obviously. If you're in there.
To be honest with you, Rory's already had conversations with me of how he sees us going forward, and where he wants me in different positions. Is nothing too in depth at this minute, but he's already thinking about how we can get better, because like you said, if we stand still and if we do what we did last year, ultimately again it's not going to be enough. So to be fair and to give Rory his dues, he sees where we can go forward and what we can improve on. I don't think it's massive changes too that we need to make. I think any team now, you look at any team, they're defending with 14 and 15. Maybe where they're defending at in the pitch is something too that we can kind of work on the turnovers, maybe a bit higher up the pitch. But Rory's already got an idea into his head of how we can go forward and how we can maybe make that next step to get into an All-Ireland.
But you're right, Shane, and it's kind of a myth and a media narrative can get out there around, like, forwards have to defend. We had a very successful team with Dublin, obviously, but there was numerous times in every big game where we had 15 lads behind the ball. It's just the nature of modern Gaelic football. Like Kerry, you look at Kerry in the final against Galway, it's the same thing. Bar people laugh maybe about Clifford, the odd time stays up, but
where he gets the yellow card.
Clifford was on the yellow, yeah.
You have to get back. That's just the part of the game. It's not easy, but all the best teams have to do that. But it's then, like you're saying, and I'm absolutely no doubt Rory understands that. He knows that himself. It's the transition when you get the ball back, how fast you can get back up the pitch.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like from our view, reviewing the semi-final, the loss to Galway, that you just didn't get that in the second half. You were frustrating Galway, absolutely, in the first half, but that kind of slower transition, trying to get guys back up the pitch was an area that, you're right, if you're teams at that level, they're watching every single thing. They're so well prepared. They know what you're going to do, and having that kind of plan B or a different style of play with a bit more risk in it, we always say it is probably the next step for a team that being really solid and being well organised gets you to a point. But if you're talking about, I know you guys are about trying to win in All Ireland, that there needs to be that element of risk in the game. But the idea forwards having to get back in the field, unfortunately, that's why me and Jimmy are retired from Inter-County. If it was just staying up shooting now, I'd nearly throw the boots on again, but unfortunately not.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think we can always go back to that. We have that inner locker now. We know how to set up, and if it is seeing out a game, if we are lucky enough that we can, or 5 or 6 points up, we know what to do. I think we've got that in our armour now and in our artillery that we can sit in 15 in, camp in behind the ball if we need to see out a game. But we need to make sure the 50 minutes before it, we can change it up and not be as predictable as we are.
Do you know, when you're sorry, Tom, when you're preparing for a game, Shane, right? Would you, like, obviously you are an unbelievable team and like your team ethic, teamwork, right, everything is unreal. But say from a personal point of view, would you set yourself targets in game in terms of even how many scores you want to get from play, or how many shots at the post you want to get, or how many off the shoulder runs? Like, would you have personal goals in game like that?
Yeah, to be honest, and it's something our strength and conditioning coach has brought on, boy Peter Hughes. He's making sure that, well, he's on to a lot of the forward, but he's on to me specifically about setting goals for games. I want to be the top scorer of every game, to be honest with you. I see myself as a scoring forward, whether it be from frees or open play. As long as the ball goes over the bar, I'm.
Do you count frees, do you? Do frees count?
I don't get this here. I don't get this.
They're never gonna go to frees.
Only if they're more than 35 yards out, they count.
Jesus. Padding the stats.
Sure, Tommy's counting points from a mark as a point from play.
That is 100%. Mark is a point from play. It is the skill.
The game is tough. But say for your target, right? Say you're on it now. Are you looking at 4 points from play? Would that be?
I'd like at least 4 points from play. Yeah.
Like
that. You kick 4 points from play in any championship match. That's a good day.
Yeah. A great day. Yeah. But it keeps you mentally sharp during the game as well, because you're never drifting out of the game. Yeah. Like you might only have the ball for a minute combined over the whole match. You might only have the ball for a minute max. So like you're thinking in your own head for the other 69 minutes.
4 points from 25 shots. That was like playing with Berno. I scored 4 points. The scoring ratio is about 18%.
Would he throw a few wide, Berno? Would he?
He would. Yeah. And he wouldn't say sorry for it. Shot was on, and his 4 lads hanging out. But look, all the best ones are like that.
But isn't that the toughest commodity to get in top teams, is scoring forwards? Like every county is looking for
the hardest thing.
Yeah,
that's because everyone, they're not coached anymore. Like you need to give certain fellas creative freedom to go out and kick and shoot and express. You know, it's so important. I think.
Did you see the list for the top scorers in the Mayo Senior County Championship this year? Evan Regan,
points or something, was it?
Evan Regan, the county's nutritionist,
is
top scorer. Andy Moran, retired about 5 years, is on the list. It's actually Paul Towie is actually the only county senior panelist, I think, in the top 7 or 8. It was a low scoring championship across the board, but it just shows you that it's not being encouraged, you know. And I don't know whether Derry football is like that. Is Derry football like that, Shane? Like you obviously have had some unbelievable
pull the trigger
to All-Ireland club finals over the last couple of years. You fell short against Dr. Crokes. Would you have been playing in 17? Yeah,
I was playing 17.
That was Gooch, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Gooch was last. Yeah. That was a tight game, wasn't it?
There was a red card in that, wasn't there?
I think it was low scoring, 1-9-1-7.
Scrappy enough, yeah.
You got a man enough in the first half.
We were flying in the first half, and Padraig, he's up in the county panel too. We would talk about it all the time. Like he
punched Johnny Buckley.
Yeah, he was on.
Johnny Buckley deserves it, I'd say, did he?
On route for man of the match, like he had already scored 1-1, and it was something. I was silly, like what he did, and he would say it himself, like, and it was.
Was he just wired?
It's hard, like the club ones losing a game like that, Shane, is so hard to get back. Whatever inter-county and you know, Derry are going to be in the mix again this year, so you know you get a chance to revenge. But losing a massive club game like that, we had a Bridget on Gaeltacht actually. Rory was playing for our boy club, St. Bridget's, and on Gaeltacht, who bet Jimmy last weekend, bet our club in the All Ireland semi-final. And Bridget's never got back ever. You know, there's just that sense of regret. But to be in there on Paddy's Day in the All Ireland final and something like that happening, you know, a lad gets sent off, a rush of blood to the head, and
it happens on the days of the final. Do you remember Castlebar Mitchells were in the final as well?
Yeah, Feedy.
It was the first year black card. First year of the black card. And there was no substitute. I think he was gone for the rest of the game.
It was
like it wasn't 10 minutes. And it wasn't substitution. He was just sent off.
That black card rule was one of the worst things that ever happened. I was injured one year playing club, and I came on in a league final on the 51st minute, and I was wired and I was hyped up, and I was back off. Before the 52nd minute.
Told you about this.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Too emotional, you're too emotional.
No subs, gone. It was disastrous. We won after extra time. It was division 3.
Shane, can I ask you one more question, right? I'll leave Tommy back in then. Christy McCaig, right? I marked him. I was sent to forward for Kerry and Killarney. We played Derry. And he was so tight, physical, aggressive. Like you are obviously marking him every night.
Mark.
Yeah, he is. Like, you're marking him most nights. How good is he? Like, is he top of the pile in your opinion, or where'd you rank him?
Yeah, I've people ask me who's my toughest marker, and I would just say Chrissy, to be honest with you. Whenever you get thrown into him, you know what you're in for. Like, he's got it's nearly and he takes it as an insult, or if you would get a score or anything off him, like it's nearly the end of the world. It's just a complete obsession of.
Isn't the mentality, Shane? Isn't it?
It's a mentality.
With him, like watching him, you can see that. Fitzsimon's like that with us. You kick a score off him, he's fuming, absolutely fuming.
And Chrissy, to be honest with you, I was over the moon with him getting his All-Star. Like, I was honestly never as happy, because he's dedicated his life to the sport. I swear to God, you wouldn't believe the work that he does and the things that he's done. So to see him get the All-Star, there's never a man deserved as much. I
think McCaig was a cert. There was always going to be a couple of Derry boys in the mix this year. I know you were nominated yourself. Glass had a brilliant year too, but I just feel like McCaig, everyone just felt right that this is awesome. He's just been brilliant. Yeah. And Rogers was in the mix too, obviously, but cracking stuff. Unbelievable year. Slaughtneil haven't been having it all their own way in the football over the last couple of years, because a certain other team has come on the scene in Glen. There's a rivalry after developing there over the last couple of years. I think it was tight this year, but they had a big win the year before, and you had held them off then for a couple of years before. They've been coming, Glenn. They have been coming.
Yeah, they've been coming. They won 4 provincial Ulsters there, minors in a row. Right. And them boys now are all 26, 27, 28. They're at the right age, like, and they've brought that whole crop through. I think the main thing that probably has tipped them over the edge now is Malachy. Malachy he's been unbelievable for them, and them few years that they didn't have Connor too. Yes. I think when Connor's came back, he's just brought them on leaps and bounds too. Like,
did it take him long to get back into the groove?
I did. I remember him. It was that COVID year we played Armagh. And he was only off the plane. And I already told him he's going to play midfield against Armagh. It was maybe a month or so later. And it did, to be honest with you. I remember his first training, which was to be expected. Like, I think Connor had said himself, he was a bit fumbly, and he had to get used to the tackling, I think he was still thinking he was playing Aussie rules at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few black cards then.
with a few of the tackles, but I think Connor's biggest strength is his ability to learn and listen. He's humble enough to know what he needed to do, and he just took everything on, and you can see the animal that he's become now.
Did you make it to the Ergal Kieran game yesterday, Glen?
Yeah, got up to it. Yeah,
cracking game of football.
It was a brilliant game. I think Glen always looked like they had goals in them in the first half.
Yeah.
They're
that kind of team, aren't they?
Yeah, they have, like Ethan too, up the county. He's just a bull going. His runs, he's hard to stop. Jack too. They had runners coming from everywhere, but Errigal, it's the most I've seen Glen not panic, but in baller. Errigal had a lot of work done on them too, and they were causing them serious baller, and I think they could maybe be aggrieved with a couple of decisions too that went against them. But
Once say the goal.
What?
The goal.
They'll have to change that rule. Goalies are a protected species. You can't touch a goalie. I think that goal was...
and even the I thought the square ball, maybe it was actually the square ball
at the end.
For me.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a square ball, but I saw a couple of referees come out and say because the player, even though the players didn't touch it because they're in the square, they affect the play. So I didn't know that. I thought it was the player.
Well, there you go.
I didn't know that. I don't know.
No, wait, here. Glen's first goal. Shoulder the keeper. That shouldn't be a goal.
Hang on. Didn't happen the Cluxon a couple of years ago. Quigley put him over the line.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't touch Cluxon.
You can't do it. How many times you go and tackle a goalkeeper?
You couldn't touch Cluxon anywhere in the field. Never mind the 6-yard box.
Whoa. That's blasphemy there.
No,
I thought that was lucky for Glen, but then you're right. The chances they butchered a couple at the end. We're going through. I think Conor, I know what we trying to do with the last one. But
walking under the net, maybe.
That's a big win for them.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll get like momentum again, as you talk about. I think coming to the other side of that, big.
Was it Kilcoo only bet them after extra time last year?
Kilcoo beat them after extra time, and it was
Ulster final.
That was semi-final. I think.
Semi-final. Okay.
Semi-final, and it was a mistake too. I think they got Kilcoo over the line. I'd expect much of the same game, to be honest with you, with the way Kilcoo and Glen both set up.
I'm backing Glen for the hurler now after this talk up.
Secure after getting the finger out, but looks like they were struggling. They were kind of trudging through down, but they
but to get all the way back again is very hard.
Croaks. So it's heavy down in Leinster. Shane, it's easy down here. Just try it down here.
I think Glen will win it now after you saying that.
Win the All-Ireland.
Yeah.
Remember the shout.
They're very impressive.
Round off, and I know it's not great.
I don't think a Munster team.
That'd be a nice year for Derry football as well now. If they can win an All-Ireland club title, even though it's not Slaughtneil, but
yeah, the Galway crowd will be tough to beat. Glen, Kilcoo, and Kilmacud.
Yeah.
Shane, you said you're looking forward to next year already, right? I'm sorry to go back to another loss, but in the same vein that the All-Ireland club champions Kilcoo bet Glen by a couple of points after extra time last year, Ballygunner bet you boys in the hurling in the All-Ireland semi-final. Only a couple of points in, and obviously Harry Ruddle produces that moment of magic in the All-Ireland club final, and Ballygunner finally get over the line. Like, that's a club that have had one coming as well.
This is hurling now, Jimmy. Do you want to switch off there?
I'll log off there for a second.
Come back to you in 5 minutes.
You've an Ulster semi-final this weekend with Slaughtneil. The football and the hurling doesn't stop for you.
No, it's an all-year thing. To be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. To be honest,
really,
yeah. I'm buzzing to be back. With it now, I think we've been knocking on the door long enough too. We see this as a good opportunity. Well, look, we have to deal with what we have to deal with. Or Portaferry first, and then Dunois are in the final already, which will be two. They won't be easy tasks, but like you said, if we're serious about things, we need to start looking at getting to that next stage. We haven't got on the All-Ireland final yet. We want to obviously be there someday, and hopefully this year will be the year.
Well, best luck this weekend. One last question on the hurling, because I don't want to bore James here, but you say you're preparing.
Hurling. I don't know why you're after throwing me under the bus here.
Who won the All-Ireland Hurling Championship this year, Jimmy?
Huh?
Who won the All-Ireland this year in hurling?
You had to think about it.
Limerick.
Good man. Very good. I seen you Googling there.
Stellar performance as well.
Limerick.
What's it
Cody's
like?
not the Kilkenny manager anymore. Do you hear that?
Who?
Cody's not the Kilkenny manager anymore.
I know.
Managed Kilkenny for years. Brian Cody.
We are football snobs in this pod, to be fair. We are football snobs. But one last question on the hurling, Jen. You know, when you're preparing to go out into the pitch with Derry as a marquee forward, and you've got goals in your head to score 4 points, or, you know, nail your frees or whatever else about it. When you're going out as a 6, and we give Paddy Andrews a good bit of slag in here, because when Pat Gilroy came into Dublin, he was moved from the forwards to centre back to corner back.
All the best players can do it, though. That's what I would say.
Exactly. What's that mindset like? Is there a mindset shift when you're
total football?
To be honest, like you learn from the markers you come up against too. To
really?
Be honest with you. And the football, the different wee tricks, and the dark arts that they talk about. So it's just something completely different too, if you get me. And there is more of a sense of a centre back too, a bit of more freedom too. You obviously have to mark your man, and then there is you get a drop off at times too. Like, so it is just it's just a completely different game.
What's your favorite dark art?
Don't answer that, Shane. The refs listen to this.
They're locked away.
But you know, it's funny.
That's fair enough.
If I was going back now, I'd rather be a back.
No.
Football is played now. If you were centre
Wing
back,
back.
you know,
Wing backs run the game.
Wing back,
it doesn't mark anymore. I was playing cornerback when we were playing 15 on 15. Like, I knew I was fucked.
You had the
If you're
Gooch
playing
and
centre
Stephen
back
O'Neill.
now, you have 10 lads beside you.
That's what we thought. We tant Gareth about it. Like,
Yeah, the kidless is
he had
long
the
there.
easiest job. Nobody to mark, and he could just bomb up the pitch.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
likes the dark arts.
He's some footballer.
Parcel, Jimmy, unfortunately.
You can write a book on him.
I'd say so. Yeah, no, he's had some impact this year. I have a couple of quick fire questions for you before we wrap up, if that's all right.
Yeah, 100%.
A couple of them are random. Couple of them will be easy to answer. Your favorite pair of football boots?
Adidas.
Okay, a specific type? No.
X is 18.1 or 19.1. I've worn them for the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay, and
Yeah,
they've
but
been serving you
that's
well.
well myself. Well played.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you prefer hurling or football, and why? Why? Like, what's the difference between pucking a schlitter and kicking a ball for you?
There's nothing better getting down with a bag of balls to the pitch, to be honest with you. There's just nothing like it. I love it just to clear my head and everything. Like, I just love getting down to the pitch and scoring.
On your own?
How much of a warm up would you knock out before going kicking 30 balls, or would you go straight into it?
I'll do a bit of stretching or whatever, like, but then I just
We won't tell Rory, Shane. It's all right. You can. You're young enough, like when you're below 25 and under, you can just go out and kick. And once you start getting old, you have to do a 45-minute fucking warm up.
Activation, right? Blue band, yellow band, black band.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. So kicking football. Do you have a particular routine? Are you kicking your frees? Are you kicking from play? Or
I would break it up. I would do first whatever amount of balls, 20 balls, or it is just getting into the kicking motion. I don't care if they go wide or whatever. I would hardly even look at the post. It's just to get the legs well listened out. And then I go on to freeze. Then I go on to open play, and then marks from either side. And then I would set my freeze up and really try and get the scoring accuracy as high as I can.
Okay.
So how many shots are you looking at?
Well, from the freeze, I would always go for 12 from 12. That's what I always finish with, 12 from 12.
Okay. So say in your kicking session, how many shots would you end up taking?
I could be well over 100. Like,
really?
Would you?
I could spend. Well, I would get one big day in of over 100 balls
A week?
Yeah.
Jeez, 100 balls is a lot, isn't it? You'd
Your
want to be
toes,
doing left
secrets
and
for
right.
lads.
I
Your
was playing on-
toenails would be falling off.
I know, like, but it's not a chore or anything for me. Like,
Yeah.
just nothing better. Like,
Yeah. I mentioned Mike Crack Russell, a quote from Mike talking about it. He still does it. He still goes down to the pitch with a bag of balls, and he's in his 40s playing club football.
Yeah.
So can the split season work as a man who plays hurling and football 365 days of the year? Is it working? Can it work?
yeah.
Is it working? Yeah.
I think it is working. I think they can maybe improve it a bit better too. They can maybe look to stretch the season out a wee bit on both terms, but I do think definitely it's the way to go.
Okay. Last question. If you could change one rule about Gaelic football, what would it be?
Oh,
Goalies
goalies getting tackled in the square.
Goalies being allowed.
How
to
can
come
it-
out
how
past
can
the
a
13-yard
goalie-
line.
How can a goalie come up the field
Shouldn't be allowed up the field.
and kick frees, be involved in the game, but then when they enter this magic box, they can't be touched? Absolutely scandalous rule.
But we were asking Shane there anyway. Shane, your answer, please.
Apologies, Shane.
Fight to Jimmy all year.
I would say maybe as we talked about, they would maybe look at the pulling off the ball and not sending off the wrong man.
That's fair enough.
What about fisting a point?
You have a couple of rules.
There's I put up a tweet of it's come back to bite me too.
Oh yeah.
Played it one day when I wasn't too young, a young enough boy, about how a criminal defence it was to fist the ball over the bar.
Yeah.
Halfway scores in championship or fist the points, lads.
And I think
You better not have been slagging me on Twitter.
Definitely not. But fist the point, when you're that close to goal, you have to go low.
Yeah.
Just for coming in on the angle and you've no pace, you have to fist it over. That's what used to always get me like.
But like, it would make for way more creative finishes if everyone had to go for a goal in that position, like, or kick it over the bar.
If you fist it over the bar under Rory, you might not play the next day.
Yeah, he doesn't like it either.
He's big for goals.
He hates it. He hates it.
That's great.
That is brilliant. Because usually a manager is like, take the safe option, get the point, look at the kick out. Oh, snooze fest, like.
And it's all he said too. He asked me what's the thing he's brought in Rory too is, I think it's evident to see goals. I think he's
Yeah. You were knocking out 3 goals a game for.
No, and it was even the Monaghan game. He battered me one day. We were watching it back, and he told me, "Why'd you not go for goal then?" Like, and when I thought the point was on, but no, when the goal's on, you have to take
go
it.
for it.
You could see it. You could see it how you killed that game against Clare as well. Like, you were going for goals straight away in that game. So, yeah, very impressive. Shane, it's been great getting to know you in the football pod over the last little while. Thanks so much for joining us. Very best of luck with Slaughtneil over the next couple of months, hopefully. And with Derry in 2023, it was class watching you rise this year and see what you did and all the energy around you. So, well done and best of luck yourself.
Thanks, man.
Fair play,
Fair play, Shane. Thanks for coming on. Congrats on a great year.
Thank you, boys.